Welcome to another exciting tutorial. Today we are going to make energy blast. This effect can be made from particles and volumes. So for this we are going to make a geometry with circle, our source geometry. So going to use this geometry. Now I am going to make everything in this node. Create circle and after that convert this to polygon and open it so that it can only be arc. Press this point icon so you can see these points. So just put some numbers, recent numbers, and if you want more then you can always resample this. After adding this resample node, you can use this maximum segment, like I'm using 100. You can always increase less or more. Then we need to add normal to emit particles at the sideways. So for this I'm going to use orient along curve node. Add this, open this normal point and go to this additional rotation section, apply a yaw and just do this 90°. So it has like outer normals. Then go to pop section, apply pop network, open this and just save this file. And in the source sequence, go to this and change this to from constant activation to impulse activation. I want to impulse it for like 5000 and just use $ff equals to 5, so it will emit at only 5th frame. So if we play this, it will emit only at that point. Okay, now we are going to add some noise. So for this, let's just lower these frames, add pop force, and add some values here, like amplitude, let's use 10 to see. Now here it is emitting, but you can see that it is moving in every axis. I want to be emit only in XY plane. We want to delete this Z component. So for this we are going to use pop warp. Go inside it, apply this, open this, and this we are going to use this velocity node to zero out this Z component. For this we are going to use vector to float to break all the variables, then use float to vector, then connect to V. For this we are going to X and Y. We don't want Z component. So now if we see this, See, now it's going only Z direction. Then in this source attribute, you can always add this add to inherited, very little value, like this. And to this, exactly at the outside of this, you can always add or multiply this value with normal. And you can use normal so that it will always do this like this. So in normal also there is y z component, so you want to do this before multiplying or adding this. You can always add this one. See, now it will go outside. Okay, now we can arrange these values more. So let me just go for little higher values. And lower this swirl size, or maybe increase this. Two is enough. And you can use one more pop drag. So they will not go like that much. So just use little higher drag. See. Okay, these values. And it's going like this. Or you can do one more thing. Pop, warp, and go here and just do this like add normal to direct velocity. See, now it will go outer. And we can always multiply this and just promote this parameter, this number, like we can always multiply this number. See, now it will go like outwards. And we need to lower this life, So we want this to be very low life, like zero point 0.5 and 1.1 variation. Like this. For again variation in force, it will always add some variations like this, whatever kind of you want. Okay, if you want like more, you can always change this number, or if you want like less than 5, and it will limit for 5 frames like this. And for this just use higher substeps. I'm using 5 by 5 substeps like this. Okay, and again you can use more strength in force to increase or break its components like this. Okay, now we have created this part. Then we can come here and add this trail node, and you can use always trail length like 10, so it will like this. And if you want to make these lines, you add node, and in add node use polygon by group by attribute and use id. So now it will like this id like structure. And you can use any color you want. So now you have like initial lines like structure. And if you want color to be random, then you can come here also in pop section, go to pop and use ramp for I think life to color node, and give it some colors like here. Okay, you can give some vibrant colors, or maybe like this, or maybe this, whatever you want. I think life, or maybe you can use age also. Yes, you can use age. So this is your initial energy blast situation. You can add more details. The next is we are going to create some uh, outer energy lines. So for this I'm going to just bypass this and just use null object. Just go for out smoke. Okay, for this just go for another geometry node for import that object. So object merge, then add object merge for that smoke. I just clear of this, and we are going to create pyro source, and just create source smoke. We don't need temperature. Then we need to like rasterize these attributes. So volume, rasterize attribute, and just go for density, and we need velocity also. See, now for this, use this point separation to control its voxel size. Okay, because we are going to use very thin lines, so let me just go lower this number. And in volume rasterize, use velocity blur. See, now it will create all these lines. So just increase shutter and use blur sample almost 10. And you can use all the shutter offset negative one. See, lower this particle size if you want like very thin lines. See, and not that much, 13. I think -1 is enough. Okay, you can always decrease this filter size. This is smoothing this, and you can increase this coverage so it will cover more. Use normalize to clamp. See, now it will have like this. Always one more smooth, you can use increase this blur. Shutter also, how much lines you want. Particle size will decide your like thickness of this. Coverage also decide how much density you want. Then if you like look at this, it will like this. See, you can do this. And if you want like very sharp edges, just lower these numbers and decrease this filter size. Okay, so you get these kind of effects. So out, or you can use null. See, this is your inside, this one is outside. See, or if you want more longer lines, you can always use trails. Trail will give you much longer. Like if I use at least 10, see, now it will give much longer lines. Now we can always decrease this coverage area and particle size. Okay, so there are various methods you can use. See, now it has like this core structure. So, and for rendering purpose, I'm using V-Ray. So just create V-Ray node. Okay. So we need only like two materials, or if you have more complex system, you can use different. But for this, I am using two materials. I am using V-Ray material. V-Ray. For smoke, I am using V-Ray volume material, and for this, I am using V-Ray light material. V-Ray light material. And for light material, I am just calling that color that I have given ramp. I am using V-Ray user color. Just connect this to color. And for volume grid, just disable this fire. We don't want that. And just apply this one. Apply that very light material. And for smoke, we are going to apply volume grid. Okay, so I think it's ready for render. So just go for use wide frame. Okay, this render settings, we just set up some basic settings for this. Let's go for 32. It's more than enough. And just disable this default light in VA. Okay, now we are ready to render. So Control S and just render this. Okay, now you can see we have these energy lines and some smoke, but we have little issue here, which is like these particles are like very big. So what we can do here, like, we can use p scale value. So use attribute wrangle. Attribute wrangle and just use at p scale equal to 0.01. So it will scale down these particles. I think this is still very. Let me lower this even further. Okay. And for energy, this one just disable its point rendering. And come to this material smoke. Just use some this kind of smoke, whitish. Okay, and for light, let me just increase this direct illumination. I think it's happening here. sometime happens. So let me just okay. So I think I have some issue in this material. Okay, for smoke you can always use this color also. Just use this density attribute for color. Okay, and in the fire, see now it has like bright colors. So we don't want that color. So come to your fire section and delete this. Use this slightly bluish. This kind of color. And lower this values like still it's too high. You need to adjust these values, so just go for one here, and it has some issues, so just check one more time. Okay, and in here just okay, lower this value, this will lower this. And for this outer section I think it's happening because it's not able to render these points properly. So what we can do is we can always use copy to point node and just use sphere in here. And you can always use polygon. It will show these points. It happens in V-Ray sometimes, it doesn't render these points properly. So for that we need to sometime add spheres and it will render it. and just wait for some time, or you can cache out this so that it render fast, but now it is rendering a little bit take time for displaying all these elements. Okay, so like control S. Now if we look here, see, it has like higher light values, that's why it's coming so bright. So if I lower this number, it will not come that bright. See, so this is one of type, or if it has like very long section, then you can always decrease this trail's length. Not using 5, just use 3, so it will lower this trail length. So if I render this, see, now it can lower this. So you need to adjust these values in volume raster section, these sections, so that it can adjust for values. For this I tweak these values very frequently to get me the exact look of these energy lines. Okay, so you can always decrease or increase these values to get you proper lines. So I think this value is still affecting this. You can always use like different kind of lighting situations or colors. Okay, and these are like basic settings I'm going to like tweak. I have to tweak it, so it will take me time to adjust these values, but these are the basic settings I tweaked. And for like targeting system, I used another node, which is like these circle is, again I use same circle, and You can use same circle or you can use different circle, and I use this scatter node for this, and I decrease its face count like up to 3 or 4. Okay, so now these have only 3 points. See these 3 points, and I use these global seeds, like, so I use $F, so it will keep on rotating, and I use this as a second source. So just plug it in this second pop net, and for targeting system I'm using another sphere. Okay, just plug into third node, and let me just lower this scale onto, and just move it to the distance a little bit. Let's just go for like 30 distance. So it is here. Okay, now if we go to pop section, I'm using another like source input node. You can just copy this, Control S, and in here let me just add this node in here. So for source section I used like second context symmetry. See, now it has second, and you need to like connect this to this merge node so that it can. And for targeting system I'm using pop attract node, this one. In this pop attract node, use surface point, then use third context symmetry, which is that one. Just use like this one, and use force scale like almost 100. So let me check one more time. Okay, it's not going anywhere. Let me delete this channel. Just use points. Just use all points. Let me just cut this node so that I can see. So it's going. We don't need that much particles, and so we are going to start this from 5th frame. So you can do this like $FF greater than 5, so it will emit after 5 frame like this. So, and you can always use pop forces to give it a little bit variation. Okay, now we can like add these two notes together. See, like this. Only you can always increase its value. So if you want more fast values, you can increase this attract value. See, and in this smoke trail node, this will create all these points. Okay, you can adjust these values. I mean, you need to adjust very like, quite heavily. Okay, so it will give you. It has here also lines, but it's not showing. It will show in the render because it's volume lines here. Okay, and if you want like much more detail, you can always lower this number, or you can always decrease this particle scale. So it will not be more thick, it will be fine like this. See, so these are the like basic settings I have used for making this energy blast effect. For targeting, move the sphere wherever you want, so it will always create that kind of effect. And you need to tweak values and all that so that you can get better results. So always go for here. Okay, so that's how you make this energy blast kind of effect. And you can tweak these colors, values, amount of, and I will include my final project file that I have made that will help you to understand this effect. Okay, so goodbye, we will meet in next tutorial.